All right, I'm at East Hillsdale Boulevard and Norfolk Street on the edge of San Mateo as it's verging into Foster City, going out into the bay. I was just here at this intersection thinking about there's such a massive conflict between what's available if you have like dedicated research assistants and plenty of time and what's actually available to the public. So I was just thinking like, what would I like to know if I had AI assistants that could just do a huge amount of data trawling for me live, especially if it were personalized. So let's just go through, look at all the things that we see and then think, okay, what is the true, like, how deeply would you really like to know this? So let's go here. So, okay, so there's two cameras there in the middle of different design. Where does that feed go? Who uses it? How much does it cost the city and the county? Is it a federal thing? Do the police have access to it with a warrant? How many times have warrants been asked for it? Who granted the warrants? Were the warrants used in the judgment of any crime? Okay, here's two more. Red flex and some unnamed one. Are they even working? Um, Here's a kind of a scammy uh, gasoline price sign where they charge you less with gas, or sorry, with wash. It's a very, very deceptive. Here's a food truck. So who owns the food truck? How long has it been here? What's the revenue? How much sales tax do they pay? How much does licensing cost? Is it an individual thing, or is it a network? Um, is it even legally licensed? Who owns the gas station? What's the revenue of the gas station? How old is it? What's the property tax rate of the gas station? Um, that's the sort of little hump. So there's plenty of obvious questions about things like how much do those condos cost and things like that. Here's a Marina Plaza, which is a whole bunch of like Asian supermarkets and bakeries and that type of stuff. That's great. Here's the traffic. So how many accidents are there at this intersection annually? Has anybody died here? Have there been major accidents? What year was it designed? Is it up to code? Today's code. If it were designed today, what would be the requirements for today? For the shopping center, um, how busy is it? What's the average age of a visitor? Have there been violations, civil state violations of tax law, food and safety, worker safety? What's the salary? Who owns them? What nationality are the owners? Um, how much income tax do they pay? That's the highway right there. It was all regraded recently by somebody. They went up and down 101 regrading everything. How much did that cost? I mean, when you look these things up, it's typically stuff like, hey, it's $50 million to regrade and make it nice and green there. Sure, it's nice and green, but 50 million bucks is a lot of money. What was the profit margin on that guy? What was the construction firm that did it? Have they been investigated? Do they have illegal relationships with some of the people that are commissioning these tenders? Is there suspicion of such things? Have there been reports of it in any of the local newspapers? I mean, I'm just rambling on here, right? But and tons of this data is actually public. That's the thing. Like, we live in a quote unquote transparent society, but it's just so expensive and so much work to do this stuff, to do these lookups and aggregation. And it's also so complex UI wise. Like, imagine somebody did give you a 5,000 page report that clearly proved like some kind of obvious gigantic theft of $50 million over the course of 10 years. Well, a journalist could be like, he said, she said, or they said, and the other guy's lawyers said, and none of it's true. And how are you going to prove your allegations? And you'd say, well, it's right here on page 742. But it would be a real pain to get there, and nothing would be able to. There would be so much jargon in the text that nobody would be able to really get to the bottom of it. And then the audience would get bored and turn it off. And that would be the end of the story, because nobody would be paying attention anymore, right? And those things. So with AI aggregation and summaries, you could have some intermediate level. So you could get a normie person, like a neighborhood person. If they trusted their AI, they could just have it grind up the 5,000 pages. Oh, I wonder what kind of birds those are, right? Like, do they migrate? How old are they? Based on size. Or do they have prey or predators? What do they eat? Are those healthy based on outline? How much do they sleep? Okay, yeah. Anyway, so this middle class person could grind it up, and at least to their own satisfaction, their AI would say, you know what? Like, it does really seem to be quite clear, and it's worth pursuing. And when the other guy tries to derail you by saying X, Y, Z, you can quickly just respond to him without letting him waste a bunch of time and boredom and complexity. Like, the real difficulty in getting things done properly and finding mistakes and inefficiencies and people just corruptly messing things up and stealing or blocking things. The real blocker has just been complexity and boredom. And that's a legit issue, you know? And so, you know, we don't need new stuff. We don't need, I mean, I'll take new stuff, but really we just need to understand what we've got, right? You know, how long has this poor, bedraggled blocker thing been there? I mean, it could have been there for years. Who knows, right? A week or a year, does it make a difference? What's the legal requirement behind these air things everywhere? Like, I've read that it's legally required that gas stations have them, and yet when I used to have a car that I needed them a lot, you know, I was never able to find a working one. And why are there so many different types of air vent? Well, I'm sure a lot of people know that, right? Air pumps. Anyway, I think that's good for 5 minutes, right? So hopefully I can enumerate some of the questions here. We don't have numbers, but I would say it's 2025 now, February. I would hope that within, say, 6 months to 9 months, we can actually just submit the URL of this YouTube video to an AI agent, maybe pay $50 or something, and it would actually come back with, well, coming back with a transcript is already done. Like, you could already get that done. But coming back with a transcript and preliminary answers regarding all my questions, like real answers, like the actual data with actual links and PDFs. You know, so if you're a data holder or an archiver, you can make so much money. Just set up an API so that LLMs can query your data. You know, previously nobody would have ever queried it because it was so freaking complex to get it and figure out what the heck is in everything. But now, you know, either make it all public permanently or one time, or set up an API so we can query, especially local city government data. I mean, all this stuff is known, you know? Yeah, I can just, I mean, I'm tempted to just ramble more, but I better cut it there. So yeah, guys, hopefully we can do some good stuff in the future here. Take it easy.